So hello friends, in the previous lecture we discussed that how the increased demand of medicinal plants or medicinal product has led to extensive wild collection or the collection of the desired plant material from the natural habitat, and what are the problems that occur when you collect the plant from their natural habitat or the wild collection. And therefore lot of stress is being given on the cultivation of the medicinal plants. We also discussed that what are the advantages of the cultivation of the medicinal plants over their wild collection. So friends, like any other plant, when we cultivate a medicinal plant, there are certain factors that will affect the growth of that particular medicinal plant, and not only the growth, but since the medicinal plants are used for their secondary metabolites, so those factors will also affect the overall content of the secondary metabolite vis-a-vis the composition of the chemical constituents that are present in that particular medicinal plant. Now these factors can be broadly categorized into the factors that affect the quality during cultivation of the medicinal plant, and also the factors that affect after the cultivation or the post cultivation factors. These factors can also be categorized into the categories of environmental factors and non-environmental factors, which we are going to discuss in subsequent slides. Now coming on to the factors that affect the quality of a medicinal plant during cultivation, and these are soil type. Now we know that soil is like mother to a plant, because majority of the plants, they take their nutrients from the soil, they grow in soil. So the type of the soil in which a plant is growing will have a direct impact on its growth and content of the secondary metabolites. Now the type of the soil can be assessed in terms of the particle size, because we know that particle size will affect the water holding capacity vis-a-vis the moisture content present in the soil, and there are certain plants which require dry conditions for their growth, dry soil conditions, whereas there are certain plants which require moist soil for their growth, and we have to select the suitable soil type in terms of its particle or its composition. Then pH of the soil is another important factor, because it has been seen that the pH, that is acidic or basic or neutral, will impact the enzymatic activity in the plant, which is, or the activity of various enzymes that catalyze various metabolic processes or the physiological processes that are occurring inside the plant. And we know that these metabolic processes lead to the production of secondary metabolites. So any kind of alteration in that enzymatic activity will affect the quantity of the secondary metabolite that is being produced by that plant. So pH is another important aspect of the soil. Then we have salinity, that is the amount of the salts or the type of the salts that are present in the soil. That also affects the overall growth of the plant. There are certain plants which are sensitive towards specific type of salts. So salinity is another aspect. Then content of the organic material present in the soil is another important factor, because we know that organic content is an important source for the nutrients that are required by the plant. So amount of organic content present in the soil will definitely impact the growth or the amount of the secondary metabolite produced by that particular plant. So obviously we are going to discuss each and every aspect in detail with suitable examples. Then the second factor is the seed quality. Now seed quality is being assessed in terms of the physical characters, like whether the seed is damaged, seed is entire, or any kind of physical character that will define the quality of the seed, or what is its germination rate, what is the viability of a seed, what is the vigor of a seed. So all these factors will affect the overall growth of the plant material. Suppose if a plant material is having, if a seed is having less viability, then obviously that seed will be sensitive towards storage conditions. It will be sensitive towards variation in the temperature conditions or the moisture conditions. So all these aspects of a seed will determine the quality of a seed, and eventually a good seed leads to a good crop, and therefore we required a good quality seed for proper growth or for proper yield of a plant. Then we have is propagation method. Now we know that plants are normally propagated either by sexual method or asexual method. And sexual method, they are largely propagated by seeds, whereas in case of asexual method, they are propagated by different plant parts, bulbs, stem cuttings are there, or corms are there, and so on and so forth. So if you are growing a particular plant material with the help of seed, though it can be grown with the help of say stem cutting, then if you are growing that plant material with a seed, then you are utilizing or you are consuming large amount of time to grow that plant. So the amount of the time taken by the seed to germinate and to reach to a position where it matures, it requires substantial time period which can be saved if we grow that particular plant material with the help of stem cutting, as we normally do in our gardens in case of rose plant. So just imagine we cut a stem of rose, we put that stem in the soil, and after some time rooting starts in that soil and the plant start growing. Just imagine you have to grow that rose plant with the help of seed. So how much time you have saved by growing that rose plant with the help of stem cutting. So this is how you have to select the proper propagation method in order to get a good yield and in order to make your process more economical. Then altitude. We know that with the change in altitude, wind conditions change, temperature conditions change, pressure conditions change, and all these factors will have an impact on the enzymes that catalyze various metabolic processes. These factors impact the physiological processes that are going inside the plant, which in turn will affect the growth of the plant, vis-a-vis also the production of the desired plant secondary metabolites. So if all these factors are not controlled, or these proper factors or the proper altitude is not provided to the plant, or in other words, we can say that if the plant is not grown at a proper altitude that is required for its growth, then the growth may be stunted. You may not get the desired amount of the secondary metabolite or the desired chemical composition. Same is with the temperature, because temperature affects the enzymatic activity inside the plant. So proper temperature conditions should be maintained for the proper cultivation of the plant material. Next is rainfall. Now rainfall provides the water, fulfills the water requirement of a plant, and irrespective whether plant is growing naturally or we are cultivating, majority of the water requirements are being fulfilled through the rainfall. So if you are growing a plant that is that requires drought condition for its growth, and you are growing that plant material in an area with plenty of rainfall, then obviously though the plant will grow, but the growth will be stunted, the chemical composition would be entirely different than the required, or sometimes the desired constituent is not produced inside that particular plant if proper conditions are not maintained. Sunlight is the other factor. We know that the major process of photosynthesis is largely dependent on sunlight, and with the help of that photosynthesis, it also leads to various other metabolic pathways that are occurring in the plant material. So sunlight is another important factor, and not only the amount of the light or the duration of the light, but the type of the light that is being absorbed by the plant also impacts its growth and the production of secondary metabolites, whether it is from the visible range, whether the light absorbed is from the UV range or the near IR or the red range. So all these factors basically also affect the growth of the plant. Then nutrients, manures, we know that the importance of the nutrients in the growth of a medicinal plant or any other plant. So in order to fulfill the nutrient requirement, sometimes we have to use certain fertilizers or manures for the proper growth. So this is another important factor. Phytohormones, how hormones affect a particular plant growth, obviously I am going to discuss in detail in my subsequent lectures, but like in humans, hormones have an impact on the metabolic processes inside the body. Same happens in the plants also. There are certain hormones, or we also call them as plant growth regulators, that have an impact on the overall growth of the plant material, thereby improving the yield of the plant, improving the amount of the secondary metabolite, desired secondary metabolite that is being produced by the plant. So applying a suitable hormone during the growth, applying suitable quantity of the hormone at different growth stages of the plant will have a direct impact on the overall yield of the plant, overall quality of the plant. Then irrigation. How much irrigation is required, what type of irrigation is required, that varies from plant to plant. So if we don't give appropriate irrigation facilities for the proper growth of the plant material, then obviously the quality of that material will suffer. And last but not the least factor is the pests. Now pest can be any microorganism, any unwanted plant material that is growing, that is weeds. It can be an insect, it can be a rodent. So anything which destroys or damages your crop of a particular plant is defined as a pest. Now in order to manage those pests, various practices are being followed, and the most prevalent one is the spray of pesticides. Now excess use of pesticides will also impact the growth and the quality of the plant in terms of its safety aspects. Then if you don't control the population of the pest, then obviously though you have taken care of all other factors, you got a very good crop, but you are not able to maintain or control the pest population, then your crop is going to get substantial damage will be there to your crop. So control of pest is another important factor that affects the overall quality of the medicinal plant that is being produced. So these are the few factors that affect the quality of the plant during the cultivation. Now these are the factors that affect the quality of the plant after the cultivation. And number one is the collection time. Though you provided all the suitable factors for the growth of that medicinal plant, and you get a wonderful crop in terms of the yield, but if you didn't collect that plant at appropriate time, or you didn't harvest that medicinal plant at appropriate time, then you are going to affect the quality of the plant in terms of the overall secondary metabolite content in the plant. It has been observed that there are certain type of secondary metabolites which occur in a plant when it is in its young stage, whereas certain secondary metabolites, their concentration increases when the plant attains a mature state. So if you collect that plant in young state, obviously you are losing substantial amount of secondary metabolite, or you may get a secondary metabolite which is not desired. So collection time is an important factor that will eventually determine the quality of your medicinal plant. Then we have drying of the collected plant material. Though you take care of the collection time and you harvest your crop at an appropriate time, but you did not dry your harvested crop at a suitable time period or utilizing a suitable technique. Now we know that if excess of moisture is there in the harvested plant material, it may lead to the growth of fungus, it may lead to growth of molds, it may lead to bacterial growth in the harvested plant material, which will eventually lead to certain quality issues, and not only in quality issues but also on the safety issues, because certain microorganism may be fatal or may be toxic to the end user. So drying is an important factor that help in preserving the quality of the harvested plant material. So you have to protect the plant material from the microorganism by drying that plant material. One. Second aspect of drying is there are certain plants which have certain secondary metabolites, say for example glycosides, which have tendency to get hydrolyzed under moist conditions. So in order to prevent the hydrolysis of such constituents, immediate drying of the harvested plant material is required, because if you don't immediately dry the harvested plant material that is rich in glycosidic content, then majority of the glycosides will get hydrolyzed and the resultant plant material will be devoid of the desired secondary metabolite, or it will have a very low quantity of the secondary metabolite. Next we have is the packaging of the dried material. Now packaging is important factor because it has been seen that certain constituents, packaging and storage both, because it has been seen that certain constituents are sensitive towards light. They get degraded when they are exposed to light. So if such type of plant material is not packed in a container which is protected from light or dark colored container, then obviously you are going to lose considerable amount of the secondary metabolite, or the secondary metabolite may undergo certain reactions that are simulated by light, and eventually you will get a product which is not desired. Another aspect of packing is there are certain constituents or plant material or the constituent of that plant material which are vulnerable or sensitive towards oxidation. So in order to protect that particular plant material or those constituents, we have to store such plant material, we have to pack such plant material in airtight containers or sometimes under inert conditions under nitrogen atmosphere. So this is how packaging and storage also impacts the quality of the medicine plants. And pest, yes, again, if you are not careful enough to store your crop or your yield in a area that is free from pest, these pests can substantially damage the stored crop or the stored plant material. And these pests can be rodents, these can be bacteria, as we discussed in the previous slide also. So you have to take care all these factors despite you got a very good crop yield, by taking care all the factors that can affect the quality of a medicine plant during cultivation. So you cannot lay your arms that you have taken care of all the factors during the cultivation, now you will get a good quality crop. So if you don't take care of these factors, that is the post cultivation factors, then also you can lose substantial quality of the medicinal plants. Now coming on to these factors that can be categorized on the basis of environmental and non-environmental factors. So under environmental factors we have again rainfall, temperature, altitude, light and pollution. Now in the recent years we have seen that air pollution or water pollution or soil pollution, so these three type of pollutions are the talk of the globe, I will say. Now these types of pollutions have also impacted the cultivation of the medicinal plants. The plants are being suffered from the content of heavy metals that is present in the air, largely due to the exhaust of industry or exhaust of vehicles. The content of heavy metals which is highly carcinogenic that occur in the soil due to the effluents from the industry. Then it also occurs in the water that is being used for the irrigation, and the sources of water pollution are again industry or the other chemical industries. So all such kind of pollution, they also causes the impact on the quality of the medicinal plants, not in terms of only quality but also in terms of the safety of those medicinal plants, because such kind of large amount of heavy metal residues in the plant or the pesticidal residues in the plant will eventually have an impact on the efficacy or the safety of the end user. The non-environmental factors are soil, the quality of the seed, method by which plant is being propagated, the irrigation methods that are being employed, or the pests that can occur during the cultivation and also post cultivation. Then the collection time, drying techniques, or the drying time that is being when the plant material is being dried, packaging and storage. So this is how you can classify the factors, whether on the basis of the factors affecting during cultivation and post cultivation, and also you can classify on the basis of environmental and the non-environmental factors. So now we are going to discuss these factors in detail. So first one is the type of soil. So as I told you that the type of the soil can be assessed on the basis of its particle size, and particle size is responsible for the water holding capacity of the soil. Lesser the particle size, higher is the water holding capacity. Larger the particle size, lesser is the water holding capacity. So depending upon the particle size, soil can be broadly categorized into three categories: very coarse, coarse and fine. Very coarse can further be categorized into boulder and cobble. Boulder is a type of soil where particle size is more than 300 millimeters, and cobble is a soil where particle size is having a range of 80 to 300 nanometer. Likewise, gravel can be further categorized into coarse and fine, and sand can be further categorized into coarse, medium and fine. Coarse sand is having a particle size ranging from 2 to 4.75 millimeters, and a medium type of sand is having a particle size of 0.43 to 2 millimeters, and a fine sand is having 0.075 to 0.43 millimeter particle size. Whereas fine type of soil can be categorized into silt and clay. So according to this table, we can say clay type of soils have the highest water holding capacity, whereas the boulder type of soil, or the soil having boulder particle size, will have the least water holding capacity. We can also classify soil on the basis of the clay content, and eventually the clay content will affect the water holding capacity. So if the clay content is more than 50%, then we say that type of soil is clayey soil, and if the clay content ranges from 30 to 50%, that soil is loamy soil, and loamy soils are considered to be most suitable for most of the plants. Then stilt loam having a clay content of 20 to 30%, sand loam 10 to 20%, sandy soil will have less than 10% of the clay content. Then there are certain soils that are rich in a particular type of salt. Say for example, calcium ions are there. So if a soil is rich in calcium ions, we call them as calcareous soils, and calcareous soils have more than 10% of the lime present in the soil. And as I told you that there are certain plants that are affected or sensitive towards a specific type of salt. So calcium is one such salt, and digitalis is one such example, and it does not grow well in a calcareous soil. So we can say that digitalis is a calciphobous type of medicinal plant. Now these are few examples wherein I have tried to show the impact of the type of the soil or the particle size of the soil. Now Althea officinalis is a plant that is known for its mucilage content, and it grows well in the soils having less water holding capacity. So if we are growing Althea officinalis in a sandy type of soil, then yes, we can get a good crop having a high mucilage content. But if you are growing this plant in a clay soil, then obviously the growth will be stunted or the mucilage content will decrease. Similarly, Asparagus racemosus, which is commonly known as shatavari and it's an important commercial drug, grows well in a sandy loam to clay loam soil. So any variation in the type of soil for its growth will have an adverse effect on its growth. Bacopa monnieri, another industrially important plant which is commonly known as Brahmi and is largely used for various CNS disorders, has shown a suitable growth in clay soils, and therefore you will find majority of the Bacopa monnieri growing naturally around the water streams or the pond, because there the soil is quite clayey. So it grows well in clay soil, and if you try to grow Bacopa in a sandy soil, then obviously the plant will not grow properly, and the content of bacosides, which are the important or the desired secondary metabolite, will reduce. On the contrary, Commiphora whitei, which is commonly known as Google, it prefers sandy soil for its growth, because it likes drought conditions for its growth. So if you are going to grow Google in a clay soil, then obviously you are putting an adverse impact on its growth and also on its production of the secondary metabolites. Next we have is soil pH. Now soil pH is important because the pH, as I already discussed, that it impacts the activity of various enzymes that catalyze the different metabolic processes going on inside the plant. And these metabolic processes, as I told you, that they are responsible for the production of the secondary metabolites. So if a proper pH is not provided, a soil pH is not provided to during the cultivation, then you are going to have an adverse impact on the growth of the plant and also on the content of the desired secondary metabolites. Say for example, Bacopa monnieri, Brahmi, which is as I told you, an industrially important plant, grows well in a soil having pH range of 5 to 7.5. But it has been observed that the soils which have more basic pH, they are also, rather I will say, more suitable for the growth of Bacopa monnieri. Glycyrrhiza glabra, which is Mullatti, it grows well in a pH range of 5 to 8.2, but again it has been found that the best pH range for its growth is 6 to 7.5. Though it can grow in a pH range of 5.5 to 8.2, but the maximum content or the maximum yield of this plant is obtained when it is grown in a narrow range, that is 6 to 7.5. So this you can, by this you can see that how pH impacts the growth of the plant. Vidania somnifera, that is ashwagandha, is another commercially or industrially important plant, and it grows well in 6.5 to pH range up to 8. Likewise, Datura stramonium, it grows well in a pH range of 6 to 8.2, whereas other plants like tobacco, cinchona or tree, they basically prefer a soil with acidic pH for their proper growth. So friends, this was about the different factors of the soil that can impact the quality of the medicinal plant. So in the next lecture I'm going to discuss about the other factors, including the salinity of the soil, the temperature, rainfall, altitude and other factors that will impact the growth of the overall quality of the medicinal plant. Thank you.